Guys, welcome back to another episode of One Step at a Time with your host, the Ocean Flight 111, heading straight to full potential with zero delays. That's that intro there.
I love that.
My guest today is unlike any guest I've had to date. Hailing from the lands of Williamstown, Waterford, he's gone on to become one of the most respected mentalists in the world. A Merlin Award winner, often described as the Oscars of magic. He's performed sold-out tours across the globe by rubbing shoulders with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. If you have a close encounter with him, you might witness something extraordinary. When he's not capturing the curiosity and wonder of audience worldwide, you might find him out fishing or simply watching his son play rugby on Saturday morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Keith Barry to the podcast.
Thanks so much. You've done your research, I can tell.
One or two bits. Keith, first of all, how you feeling today? You said straight off the bat you're in the ocean for an old dip. You feeling invigorated for the day?
Always, yeah.
You'd
find me anywhere on the coast, any day of the week. So today I was in Killiney was the place of choice. Although there's a hot box sauna there. Went to the sauna, went for a couple of dips. So yeah, refreshed and ready to attack the day, as they say.
Beautiful. You know? Does that count as contrast therapy?
Yeah,
using
yeah, hot cold as contrast therapy. It's interesting you should mention that because like originally, like the fad, right? Everything's a fad now. So like the fad originally was cold therapy, then it was the breath work. Now it's contrast therapy because the saunas are popping up everywhere. But I've been at this a long time, since way before they were a fad, you know. So, but I love them. I think they're very beneficial for our mind, our body, and our soul. Like,
amazing. Yeah, I over Christmas sometimes I get a bit slow. I don't like being on the couch too much.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've been in the Scrone on Sligo. It's a lovely beach if you've never been.
Yeah, I've been.
Yeah, every second day I was just in there. That lad thought I was crazy because he didn't get the whole gun.
Well, it's like my dad. My dad has passed away, but like he used to say, when I'd go to a Wim Hof breathing center. So I get this right, Keith. You're paying someone to teach you how to fucking breathe. I'm like, yeah.
It is funny when you put it like that.
I couldn't figure it out. No.
Amazing. So as I said before we started, I just want to get into the whole accomplishing the dream, then move into some bits about subconscious, and we'll take it from there. But yeah, Paul Daniels' magic set, the age of 5.
Yeah.
Do you remember like it was yesterday that moment you found the book? What was, if you were to bring you back only a short few years, not that many years ago, how did that feel? What was the feeling of when you discovered, wait, what is this magic?
Yeah, it was 44 odd years ago now, and it was actually Paul Daniels' magic set at the time.
Okay, lovely.
And yeah, I remember it because like I can actually visualize it in my head now. It came with like a little red cone and a red ball, and there was like bits of rope in there and little bits of plastic things, and then there were sponge balls in there, and they were white at the time. So yeah, I can remember it, and I can remember the cover of the box that had a photograph of him, and then it was mainly a blue cover with red, whatever it said, Paul Daniels magic set on it. So I could actually see it in my head. And yeah, look, it was just really fascinating. The fact that I just loved it straight away. And of course, at 5, you can't really understand the tricks or anything. So it's just out playing with it and messing with my parents, of course, were pretending that they were fooled by the tricks. But I suppose the magic bug bit straight away. And then it just kind of snowballed on from there, you know.
It snowballs on into your teenage years. Then you go to the restaurant and start doing it was every Friday you used to go to the restaurant and do the hopping?
Yeah, table hopping it's called. So I put on my dad's suit, and for context, like even back then when I was 14 or 15, I put on my dad's suit. Now when I was 14 or 15, it was close to the height that I'm 6 foot now, so I was probably 5'11", and my dad at the time was probably like 5'6". So I probably looked ridiculous in his suit.
Yeah, a bit on him,
But I put on a suit nonetheless, and I went into town, as we used to call it, but Waterford City, and I literally in my head thought, I'm going to go around to 20 restaurants and see will they hire me to do table hopping magic, which is basically go from table to table doing tricks at the tables. And the first one I went to, which was the Wine Vault at the time, that was Waterford's top restaurant. I was lucky because David Dennison, who was the owner at the time, he had seen magicians in France. It wasn't anything in Ireland, but he'd seen it happen in France. So he didn't even ask to see a trick. He just said, how much? And sure, I had no idea. I was like 14, 15, and I said, £80. And he went, done. So every Friday night I'd go in there and he paid me £80, which is a lot of money, like.
Amazing. That's a lot of money for anyone.
Do you know what I mean? And every Friday night, so it was brilliant, you know.
Do you remember specific things learning? So at that age, you're such an impressionable age. Do you remember, just from honing in on that example, do you remember anything that you learned that even to this day, just about entertainment, around about showmanship? Is there any skills or things that have carried you all through your life that you could even pinpoint to that beginning?
I think, well, two things. One was the approach, how to approach people. Like very often, even now, people don't know how to approach strangers.
Probably less and less even now, Keith.
Yeah, and networking, I still believe, is to be considered your number one asset, right? So, like, just walking into a room, identifying, who the important people are in that room. So, like, even back in those days, I would literally, when I was standing in the corner of the room, right, I was always trying to, so you have to, for context, 14, 15 starting out, but I was smart enough to know, got business cards printed in the supermarket, right? I wish I had one. I don't have any, but like literally there used to be, people don't understand this. There used to be like a machine back then that you put like £2 in. So it was pounds at the time. You put £2 in and like literally with your index fingers, you would type in Keith Barry, magician, and it would spit you out like 30 business cards.
Jesus,
right?
I never, that's lit. I don't know if they still have them.
Before your time, right? So I'd have my business cards, but I was smart enough to know with my approach, I wanted to get hired for, private parties, kids parties. But in my head, I was thinking, I need to find the people who've got some wealth, some money. So part of my approach was scanning the room and noting shoes and watches. That's what I would look for. So I would look at mainly, if I'm being honest, men's shoes and men's watches. So what's the quality of the shoe like? Are the shoes polished? What kind of watch are they wearing? And then I would identify who the players were in the room. So I would give them more time at their tables. I would approach them first to make sure I didn't miss them, that they weren't finished their meal first and things like that. So I found that even now when I'm in a room, of course it's not that, but it's just how to read.
Notice,
No, but it's how to read a room is what I'm talking about. And then the other thing is I learned early doors the tricks are nothing. And that's what people miss these days. The kids these days the tricks are nothing. Anyone can do a trick. You can do a trick. Like the people
well, not now, innit?
No, but you could. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can.
But anybody can do a trick. It's to create connections with humans is a whole other thing, and to give people an emotional experience. And
I remember the emotion.
Yeah. So I figured that out early in my career, that people don't really care too much about the tricks. Yeah, they like to be fooled, but they want to have an emotional experience, and that's what I try to convey now in my theatre shows and pretty much in all the work I do. So they're the two things that I learned early on.
Saying that, how you made them feel, that's what people remember.
Yeah.
So you were learning that at such an early age, and how valuable it is at such an early age. Keith, you go to college, right? You end up doing science.
Yep.
The girlfriend, shout out Mairead, wife now. Mairead, thank you for starting this too. She does psychology.
Yeah.
You take an interest from her doing psychology.
Yeah.
Why did you go to college in the first place? Did you not just want to go straight into magic, straight into following that? Or were you kind of in two minds about going to college?
No, I just wasn't allowed.
Oh, you weren't allowed? Okay, I didn't know.
My parents were like, magic is great. As a hobby, you're going to college. So that was literally it.
Gotcha.
Like I always in my heart wanted to be a full-time entertainer, full-time magician. And again, for context, I started studying hypnosis though when I was 15.
Yeah.
So I did have an interest in hypnosis from the age of 15. I started to learn hypnosis. But then you're right, when I went to college. So literally, Seamus Barry, who was the career guidance counsellor in Mount Sinai, which is the school I went to, he did an aptitude test on me. And he said, I know you have to go to college. Your parents are getting you to go to college. Do anything except science because, the aptitude test just said you're not great at sciences. And I'm kind of like this. When somebody tells me I can't do something, that's what I'm going to do. And I didn't really have any interest in going to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went, well, I'll just do science then. Because he told me not to do science.
Okay,
I'm doing science. And I'm friends with his son now. His son James is a fisherman. And he told me, like, his dad laughs at podcasts like this where I mention it.
Yeah.
He actually changed the course of my life himself by giving me, no offense, what was bad advice at the time, because I actually was really good at science in college. So I went to college. I was still doing magic and mentalism and hypnotism all the time. And then when I was in college, I was studying predominantly chemistry within the sciences. My girlfriend at the time was my wife now, Mairead. She was studying psychology. And that's when I started to read like Freud and parapsychology and all these different psychology books. So I started to devour psychology as a kind of a side effect of her being in college.
Wow. So that played a pivotal role.
Big time.
Wow.
Yeah.
You go to Dublin, move to Dublin. This is later on. And I want to bring you into the moments of going to the kitchen, right? So I was doing some research about how you actually got in initially via the doorman. I just told him you were the...
Garrett, who's still a doorman now.
That's Dutz,
That's still a doorman now on Dawson Street.
Dawson Street, 100%. You Brian, break down the story real quick of how you actually got in. So for those of you who don't know, The Kitchen was a nightclub run by The Edge from YouTube.
Yeah, Bono and The Edge both.
Okay, Bono and The Edge. Shout out Bono. I might get him on here soon.
But the hot box in Klein, he's right underneath Bono's house. There we go. Yeah.
All right, formal invitation, Bono. There's a seat here ready for you. So you get into the kitchen that night and you start doing magic and you start doing tricks and whatnot for the celebrities in the VIP section. You then start going to a couple. Is it a big difference between then and when you start going to America for the first time and you start kind of copy and pasting the kind of same idea for the first time?
Yeah, so I would have been 21 when I got my gig in the Kitchen nightclub, and I did that from 21 till 23, 24, and I think it might have closed down right around then. So the Kitchen nightclub, that is. So I'd been in the Kitchen nightclub for about 2 years before I started really traveling hard to the States. So I was about 23 when I started traveling hard to the States. And then, I realized in the US, look, it's a really hard market out there. Normally you get chewed up and spat out pretty early doors. But when I was out there, I literally went out every single night in Hollywood and infiltrating the nightclubs and getting past the security and getting into the VIP areas. And then very quickly in Hollywood, I became known as the crazy Irish magician, but on a very high kind of level. So like I got to know, Paris Hilton, Keanu Reeves. You couldn't throw a stick at a celebrity without them knowing me. And word kind of got out. But that took a number of years. So it sounds fast.
Yeah. It sounds very fast when you're running.
No, but it took a good few years, and I was broke. And
so around this time, Keith, you're getting into debt.
Yeah.
While you're going out, because I heard you break down, you're going out for 6 months at a time.
Yeah.
1031, 103, almost got it. Holster Street or
1031.
1031, yeah.
Worcester.
Yeah, Worcester.
See, I even know myself, my out address.
Yeah, I want to shout out the memories here. But you're going out, you're getting yourself into debt while you're going out.
Yep.
Around that time, so again, you're going out to America, you're doing these 6 month runs.
Yeah.
You're chasing this dream. You do have some momentum behind you.
Yeah.
Is there any doubt creeping in? Or are you just focused in completely? Because around that time you were speaking about you were doing 18-hour work days.
Yeah.
Just in the zone. Any doubt creeping in at that point?
No.
Or are you just locked in?
No, I was good like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think it was from my parents. I just had a real staunch self-belief. And that was pivotal, I think, because if I'd had any doubt, I would have broke earlier. Meaning, there was days when you're not going into nightclubs and you're just sitting at home and you're trying to figure out how am I going to get a TV deal, how am I going to get a theater deal, how am I going to get a Vegas deal, and you're hustling during the day. So it sounds like I'm going out to nightclubs all the time, but during the day you're meeting your entertainment lawyer, you're meeting your agent, you're trying to meet other people and just networking in Hollywood. But there was no doubt. There was certainly no doubt in my mind. And I have more doubt now probably than I did then.
Well,
because I'm 49 now. So I think, age probably sometimes brings some doubt. And you look at other people who in your head,
compare.
Wow, they're more. I actually thought about this today, not thinking about this podcast. I was driving along and I was thinking of, I can kind of say it out loud. I don't mind saying it. Yeah. There's a guy that's blown up really big in the States, Oz Perlman or Oz Perlman, right? Shout out to Oz. He's brilliant, right? He's a really good mentalist. But he's like omnipresent in America now. He's probably the number one mentalist in the world right now, right? And I'm looking at him going, Jesus, I should be at that level again. But then I said that word was key. I said again to myself. I was like, hang on, Keith. Because I did just remind myself, you headlined in Vegas. You had a million TV shows in the States and here. And, and I'm guilty of beating myself up.
It's that hungering and all this.
But it's also the comparisons. Yeah. And I was saying to myself, stop comparing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just do your own thing, get in your own lane and go fast and go hard. And so, self-doubt at those days didn't creep in at all. It creeps in sometimes now. But I quite enjoy seeing other people succeed and being successful, because here's the thing a lot of people don't know about Oz. I know that he's done the graft. And I know David Blaine has done the graft and Dynamo has done the graft. So there's very few in our world who haven't done the graft and gotten to the top of their game,
Keith, we were speaking just there about some people don't have showmanship these days, and they might just go, say, like a magician or hypnotist might go straight to TikTok and then to a live show and not have them skills. You can't, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to get to the elite level, the level that you're at, You can't do that if you don't have them behind you. Just like a rapper can have a hit song, but a rapper doesn't stick around 20 years if they don't put in the skills, if they don't beat on their craft. Is that the same, would you say?
Completely, yeah. Like what happens is with the TikTok generation and the Instagram generation, they get all these hits and likes and follows and so on. And it has to be in the millions, I think, for them to fill theatres. So I've seen some people who've gotten into a couple of 100,000 try to fill theatres, and that doesn't translate. So that they have to, just shut the show down.
Separate arts almost.
It's completely separate. And then I've seen the guys in the millions put on shows, but they're not performers, right? So putting on a theatre show to cash in, I understand it. But the problem is they do 30 of those. The show isn't that good. And then they try and come back, and then you can see that like downward curve. You have to put the hours in. You have to. And that's what I say to every magician, mentalist, hypnotist out there. Like, you can't just turn up and expect people to go, that was great. So like, you mentioned earlier off air, did you actually really burn your hands on the toasters in McDonald's? The answer is yes. Yeah. So I was making ends meet all over the shop. So, I was probably about 16 at that stage. And I said I'd hold something for the podcast. So when I was burning my hands on the toasters, like McDonald's.
A young Keith Barry.
McDonald's, like you can see, my hands are bent up from being a fisherman. But ultimately, in those days, it was intense. I don't know what it's like now, but it was like in those days, it was 8 meat ready, 8 meat down, 4 buns and toast. So, and it's go, 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 go. And your hands are getting burnt and you're not allowed to stop. So you literally blister up because you're getting like, literally almost like it's 2nd, 3rd degree burn because it's like so hot. You're just getting burnt, right? Blister up straight away and you're being told to put lettuce on and then you look and the blister's gone. So just putting that out there. Who gets an extra crunch in their McDonald's burger and the lettuce. I don't know where that skin went, but it wasn't on my finger by the end of the session. So, but look, I did the boats from Rosslare to Roscoff and Cherbourg as the kids magician. I did kids parties. And the gas thing is, like, a lot of the younger generation, they're like, I'll never do kids party. I'm going straight into work for adults. Brilliant, but then
it's almost a tougher audience, the kids.
But don't come to me when your career fails.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen a lot of magicians and mentalists, hypnotists come and go. And the key is, it's a way more difficult audience. You learn how to deal with difficult situations, but you're putting the hours in. You got to put the hours in difficult situations to get really good. And, I was probably really bad for a couple of years. I don't know. I don't even remember. I just remember audiences being there. But, now I look back on those days with absolute, like, loving memories of the craziness of it all. So I think the fast track forward is the wrong way. And I also think an important part of my trajectory was books. Yeah. Because now everybody's just copying everybody. Somebody puts up a TikTok or...
The same TikTok everyone...
A TikTok or an Instagram. Everybody's saying it's a... What do they call it? That's not a fad, a TikTok trend. But a trend is just everybody copying each other. It's just bullshit. No, but it's bullshit. Right? It's just everybody copying each other, right? So in my mind, that's what those platforms, not all the time, but a lot of the time are, right? So for me, I love the originality of creating a live show. And that's where it's at for me, is the live experience,
Amazing, yeah. You can't beat live, man.
No, well...
And with AI and stuff, you can. It's that connection that
I think AI is going to benefit live performers, because people will understand that they need that human experience, and the only place to find it is at a live experience or in a restaurant or maybe at the cinema or something,
Completely agree. Keith, you're doing the magic in the Hollywood, in the VIP sections and brushing shoulders and whatnot, and then an MTV producer sees you. Was that the moment that, okay, here we go, now she offered you the show? Was that the moment of, okay, we're on the roller coaster?
Yeah,
but it's about
it was. I can remember like it was yesterday. It was Heather Parry. She was an executive at MTV. I was doing magic for Paul Rosenberg, who at the time was Eminem's manager.
Yeah, Paul Rosenberg, yeah.
So he's no name in your world, I guess.
Paul Rosenberg,
yeah. So
he's quite the character.
And then the rapper Eve, who I became very friendly with. I haven't talked to her in years, but I was friendly with her at the time. So it was Paul Rosenberg, Eve, Paris Hilton, and Kelly Osbourne. So I did a magic trick, and where basically one of their cards was signed, a playing card, and it disappeared and ended up stuck to the ceiling of the nightclub we were in. And they freaked out and started screaming, like the four of them. And Heather Parry from MTV was sitting down, and she was like, what's going on over there? And she came over and said, what was that? And I said, I'm a magician from Ireland. And literally, because she saw the reaction of them, she didn't need to see anymore. She just went, do you want your own MTV special? I was like, well, what do you mean? And she said, well, in 2 weeks' time, we're filming in Cancun, Mexico. And she said, I've got a slot, a half-hour slot for MTV. Do you want it? I was like, yep. And I said, my manager is actually here. And I had a manager at the time. And he was there, and they cut the deal in the nightclub. And then 2 weeks later, I was in Cancun, in Mexico, filming my first US TV special. And actually, that did really well. I mean, I'm kind of sad.
Tell him, Keith.
No, but
tell him.
No, but I'm kind of sad about that. Why? Because they aired it once and then they repeated it like 7 times. And I remember
this is brainwashed.
Brainwash. Yeah. And I remember at the time, I think it might have been Lindsay Lohan or somebody had a special as well called I Got Married at Spring Break. But mine
sounds like
but I was fresh in, and mine basically topped the ratings all 7 times. So I should have gotten more on MTV.
Okay.
And why I didn't, I have no idea, right? It just doesn't happen sometimes, right? But I think I could have had a long run on MTV, because it did so well. But anyway, that's the nature of the game. So then, I went on from there to do a lot more television in the States over the years. But yeah, that was the first one.
It's, man, even hearing it, because obviously you listen to podcasts, but here you actually saying it to me, it's such a great plot for a movie or even a series. It's such a great plot because even when you say it, you're in nightclubs, you were trying to get in. Yeah. Even the process of you trying to get into the nightclub is such a great movie scene.
But I'm still friends with like Brent Bolthouse, who's one of the big club promoters out there. And again, I just got known. So like, so here's a story I don't think I've even told. So like, but things come to mind. So I was out in Hollywood. I hadn't been there in a couple of years, and Keith Duffy from Boyzone was in town. Keith. I'm good friends with Keith, right? So Keith was in town. He was doing a couple of auditions or something, and ultimately we said we'd go out a night out. And I said, look, we're going out to this club. I know the promoter. So we went down, and actually, sorry, this was a promoter called, at the time they were called The Alliance, and The Alliance was Josh Richmond and Hartwell. So Josh is actually, even now if you Google his name, you find out the main thing you can find out about him is he's Keanu Reeves' best friend, right? Exactly. I didn't know that at the time, but anyway, we go down to this Hollywood nightclub, and at that time, I don't know what it's like now, I haven't been there in a couple of years, it's a proper scene, right? So you turn up at a nightclub and there's always like 150 of the best dressed people in Hollywood who can't get in, right? So there's this all 3 deep, there's mad lines, everyone's trying to get in, everyone's arguing, everyone's on phones, and me and Keith Duffy rock up, and the next minute and there's 3 deep, like you couldn't get in, and the next minute this voice comes out of nowhere, Keith, this way, and it was the club promoter calling us in, and literally it was like the sea part, right? And we're going in, and the next minute Keith steps in front of me. Keith Duffy steps in front of me, goes to walk in because he thought they were calling him. Well, right? Keith, because he's well known and famous, whatever. But then they like, no, not you, him. And they pointed at me. And he talks about it himself. Yeah. He remembers it like it was yesterday. And then we went in, and it was mental. Hugh Hefner was there with all the bunnies, and I ended up doing magic for them. And but yeah, they were the days that I used to know all the club promoters in Hollywood, and just bypass all the lines and get in. I remember one time I was phoned by Sarah Pantera, another club promoter out there. And a shout out to all those people. They're all really good to me over the years. And like if they walked in here, I'd jump up and give me a big hug, like, And but Sarah Pantera at the time, she rang me one time. This is mental. I actually don't like. It's weird. The memories are coming back to me today. They probably have never come back. So you're a good podcast interviewer, because I don't think I've told any of these stories. So she rang me and she said, Keith, I'm opening up a new nightclub. It's on whatever street it was on, off Hollywood Boulevard. I need you to come though before the doors open. I need you to come early. And I thought, okay, she wants me to do a bit of magic on the night, fine, whatever. And she said, I need you to just keep somebody company because she's going to be there ahead of the pack before it gets busy. I just need to get her in. And I didn't think anything of this, right? I was just like, whatever. So fine. I walked in, and literally there's this huge, amazing nightclub. They're setting up, and she goes, look, my mate's over there. Would you go over, just keep her company, do a few tricks for her? And I walk over, and it's Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, jeez.
So I sat down and just started doing magic for Scarlett Johansson in the nightclub, just me and Scarlett. And then she was like, what are you drinking? And I said, I'll have a Jack Daniels, a Coke. And then she ordered a bottle of Jack for me and her. But those were the good old days. Yeah, it was mental looking back on it,
It's, it must be, I feel like you most likely detached quite quickly from the whole they're a celebrity, because they're just people.
Yeah.
Because obviously when I was growing up looking at rappers, like, oh my God, they're right. And you meet them, and sometimes they're just cool people, and other times they're not that very cool. But you start to realize, oh yes, people are people.
Yeah.
No matter what level where you go. Something I want to break down here, which you were even applying then. I'm not sure if you followed this rule at the time, but it's your SW plus MA
Yeah.
multiplied by ATT equals GS. So if you could break that down.
Yep.
And I want to break down in context to the Ellen show. So did you know that formula? Were you following that formula even when you were younger? Or is that something that
It kind of evolved over time, right? But it's a long time standing now.
Okay.
I'm absolutely horrendous with dates and years. Like,
Which is funny because I love dates, but your memory's so good.
my memory, I have a brilliant memory, but even when I was in college, you won't believe this, I never dated a lecture note. So I would miss lectures being hungover or whatever, and then I'd like get the lecture notes of somebody else and I'd write them down, only to find out I actually had been at that lecture.
Wow.
Because I'd never dated.
We are in present.
but I never dated anything, right? And point being, like, I can't remember what year anything happened in. Like, it's so weird like that, right? Even now, what was the question?
So the subconscious why.
Oh, sorry, yes. But so I can't remember when I came up with that, but it's a long time standing. So we'll imagine that was about 15 years ago. So it wouldn't have been the first time I was on Ellen DeGeneres, but I do talk about the fact that I used the formula during COVID, which we don't even realize it's 7 years ago now, 6 years ago.
Crazy.
It's a good bit. So the formula I kind of originated about 15 years ago. So here's the formula. The SW is your subconscious Y, and I can get into that in a minute if you want, but just so people know what the formula is. SW, subconscious Y, plus MA, massive action, times SATT, which is the subconscious attitude, equals GS, guaranteed success. So that's the formula, and I follow it day in, day out. Like, and anybody that I work with one-to-one, I don't do a huge amount of one-to-one work, but when I do, I get them to follow the formula, regardless whether it's a sports star, or celebrity, or whoever I'm dealing with, right? So SW, your subconscious why, I think it's so important for us to have. You know, everybody talks about purpose, but actually your subconscious why. What is your subconscious purpose? Your subconscious why. It's very different than your conscious purpose. And then massive action, like, what does massive action look like for you? Like, I was talking to a friend there in the car on the way in, and he's just hit a bit of hard times at the moment. He's unemployed. And I said to him, okay, how many CVs did you send out today? Have you gone guerrilla style? And he's like, what are you talking about, Keith? Because he's a businessman, right? And he's been out of work for about 6 months. Yeah. I'm like, have you printed off 40 CVs, Googled where these CEOs' offices are, got up off your hole, got in their car, and walked into those offices and say, I'm here to see Tommy McLaren, and they'd say, do you have an appointment? And he would say, no, but I need to talk to Tommy for 5 minutes. They would say no, and then argue with her until you get in front of Tommy and then give him your CV. That's guerrilla style massive action, right? So massive action for me is, you know, putting in that extra effort, that extra time, doing that 18 hours a day. Like, for some people that's not sustainable. I get that, but for short bursts, short period of time, anybody can take massive action, right? So even right now, I'm in a massive action phase. Like I said it to you on the way in, I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel right now. I just can't wait to jump off that wheel. Yeah, but like I did manage, for example, this morning to get to the sea, get in a sauna and get in the sea. So I did have my downtime for a moment this morning, but now the rest of the day will ramp all the way up till 1 a.m., right? But ultimately, massive action. And what does massive action look like for you out there? Like, just consider. And if you think you don't have enough time, just do a quick deep dive into your phone and figure out where you're spending your time. Because on average, during just business hours, regardless of whether you're self-employed or employed, the average person spends about 13 and a half hours digitally distracted during business time. So doing nothing to do with the business during a 40-hour work week. And everyone says the same thing. That's not me. Oh, I'm not spending 13 and a half hours. Everyone says. So even if, let's imagine it's 5 hours. That's just 5. Like, claw back 2 hours of that and take massive action in that time. So then you're not, and how do you claw back time? Look into your phone, find an app. You don't even need to. You can go into your stats on your phone. I just do it naturally.
I just want to break it down a little bit. What is creative visualization, and how could it be so pivotal in like your everyday life?
Well, it's a real personalized experience, but in a nutshell, our minds do not know the difference between something imagined or visualized and taking that action. Of course, your physical body knows the difference. So if you visualize yourself like pumping iron and then you don't pump that iron, you're not going to gain muscle. Well, actually, technically speaking, you can.
That's a good
but that's a whole other full-blown podcast. But creative visualization is really about creating new... I suppose I'm the only person in my mind who would describe it like this, because I could describe the action, but the more important thing is the result. So for me, when you creatively visualize, the reason, the purpose you should do it is to understand you can create a new neural pathway. Neuroplasticity is real, so we have the ability through visualization to change or alter the chemistry in our brain. And again, I did the research on this. It depends on the person. It takes anywhere between a week and 6 weeks to create a new neural pathway. So what you want to do is close your eyes in a quiet, comfortable space. Some people can do it with their eyes open, but most people close your eyes and you'll just imagine in your head like a big giant cinema screen and visualize whatever it is that you want to get achieved, but as having already done it. And in your head, you turn up the control to make it big and bright, colorful and vivid, and add in sounds and texture. And like you mentioned, detail is key. And then in your head, this is what I advise people to do: jump into the picture in your mind and bring in the emotion that you've already achieved that. So whether that's running a marathon, whether it's having your own podcast, your own TV show, standing on stage, getting over anxiety, so you would visualize yourself as being confident, free from anxiety, whatever. And then, so that's the visualization part. And by doing that every single day, your subconscious mind will become the driving force necessary to take the action, because I'm all about action. Take the actions necessary to make that your new reality. So that's where the formula comes in. So your SW is your subconscious why. So if you figure out why it is that you want to achieve that thing that you want to achieve, that goal that you want to burst through, whatever that is, the subconscious why. So it's very simple to find your subconscious why. You just ask yourself why and what questions. Why, what, why. So for example, why is it? So for you, it could be, why is it that all of a sudden I want to set up my own podcast, and why is it that I'm doing some of the episodes in Ireland? Like, just as a silly example, for example, you answer the first answer that comes to your brain. You don't overthink it. You just bang, first answer. You put that down. Now you ask yourself a why or a what question based on that answer. And then you keep going. Now, you'll get stuck. If you haven't done this process personally, even though you might have put some deep, meaningful thought into your why, that will be your conscious why. So you're going to get stuck after 6 or 7 layers. Why? Because everyone gets stuck. Everyone gets stuck. But that's when the real work begins. And I always say to people, you have to go at least 10 layers, because when you go beyond 10 layers, you're entering into your subconscious mind. And that's when the real fun and the play begins. Because when you open up that portal, we're driven by our subconscious behaviors, and our subconscious behaviors affect our emotions, and our emotions are the driving force behind our whole life. So ultimately, finding your SW is key. And then the massive action that I mentioned, and then the subconscious attitude is the visualization. So that's my roadmap for success. And I call it equals GS, guaranteed success. And I look, I've thousands of people that I shared that formula with, and I don't know anybody who's followed the formula accurately and not gotten the GS, you know?
Amazing. Keith, you have a quote. You say that hypnosis is the cousin of meditation.
Yeah.
For me, meditation, so I'll tell you the meditation. What I do is I close my eyes, I imagine I'm in space, I'm looking at the earth.
Yep.
I imagine I'm the stardust, and then I just evaporate into the stardust and I become nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm just completely taken back.
Yep.
And within that, then I'm able to slowly just go into the nothingness all the way down for me personally.
Yep.
In terms of figuring out how to actually go down into your conscious, subconscious, if there's a lot, how do you think people go about that? Because what I find is there's a reason a lot of people don't go down into their subconscious.
Yeah.
It's because there's a lot of skeletons down there. What do you think is the best approach if there's a lot of things you're putting off? Because, okay, yes, I do want to get better in my life.
Yeah.
But to actually go down, I like to call it, the way I look at it is the skyscraper. Reality is just on top of the skyscraper, but you have to get the lift down into the basement if you actually want to change things. What do you think is the best approach when it might be scary for someone?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a lot of different approaches, right? So I think there's always a way to deal with the skeletons. It's not necessarily...
Damn skeletons be scary though. They're scary.
It's not, It's not necessarily the hypnosis, not necessarily meditation. But like, I get loads of people who come to me and go, look, I've tried everything. I hear that all the time. I've tried everything. Nobody's even tried close to everything to help themselves, right? But I do think, you see, in my world, right, we all have trauma. Everyone has trauma, right? So to pull from my own personal experience, the traumatic experiences that I've had, and I've had many, let me tell you, like I've had a lot of trauma, And like, I was in a car accident that nearly killed me. My grandfather was murdered in a botched burglary. 3 days later, my auntie drowned. We were dealing with 2 funerals in the 1 week. And then, last year alone started with my dad dying and ended with my dog dying and a whole lot of crap in between. But, I had the facility, if you want to call it that, to kind of dump out my subconscious mind or deal with what's in there because I understand self-hypnosis in my own brain so well. Now, I understand that a lot of people might not have the time or the tools to understand their own brain. So what can we do? Well, we can always find a way. So some people, it's just what we talked about earlier. It's just getting into the sea and just purging there. I think purging is a good word, by the way. So I remember one time that I did purge, and it was at a Wim Hof breathing seminar, and it was in Stroh, which is about an hour north of Amsterdam. And I'm an advanced Wim Hof breather, right? Very advanced. Like I can do a breath hold with no oxygen in my lungs for 3 3/4 minutes, no bother, right? But there, it was a different experience because we did 15 minutes deep breathing, purged out all the oxygen, and then held. And I felt fine. It felt great. But then when I sat up, tears just started like coming out of me, and they didn't stop. And then people were hugging me, and they made me worse. And I was like, "Oh Jesus, this is weird." I'm not like, it gave me the ick. Like I'm not one for being hugged by strangers. Like, Jesus, I'm now the guy, right? But it was fantastic.
Kino, do not hug Keith.
Yeah. But it was a fantastic reaction because it was really healing for me. So loop back to it with people who've got, and the other thing is, I am like one of these people who truly believe that a lot of people have a victim mentality. Yeah. So the first thing is recognizing, do you have a victim mentality?
That honesty.
And if you do, you've got to address that first and foremost. But then there's so many different things out there. Like there's psychotherapy, there's psychology. But if people want to do it themselves, self-hypnosis is fantastic. Meditation is fantastic. But again, these things aren't for everybody. And yeah, I think, just talk therapy. Like I had a difficult year last year, and the best thing I did was I knew I could call on my best mate, so I called him every day, and I knew he'd be okay with that, and he knows that I'm there for him if he ever hits troubled times. That was the best thing I did, was just keep talking about the problem, and I would say to him, I know this is a pain in the arse for you right now, Al, but I just need to talk this out. And he'd always say, no, it's not. And it really wasn't for him because it was just 10, 15 minutes at a time. Now, it was every day for a long time until I got better. But like for a while there last year, like even with all the tools and techniques I have, I was kind of on the edge for a bit,
Well, I'm sad and sorry that happened to you, Keith. It is very refreshing though. Like you're someone who's accomplished so much. You understand your mind. For me, it'd be soul. That's a whole other conversation.
I like the soul, though. I'm a hippie behind it. Don't worry. You'd find me barefooted up the mountains if I wasn't in a tracksuit.
Love it. But it's just the biggest thing with the podcast is for me is people are human. Like even the people that you go on, because we're speaking about social media, and you go on and someone's telling you about their life or how many cold plunges they've done, and your reaction is just, oh my God, how's that person doing? But I'm not doing it. But even the best, and you're one of the best in the world to ever do this, can have their down days and that they're human. So I think it's just really important for anyone listening that you're human at the end of the day. And
I think, look, if you look at anybody in my world being self-development, mentalism, like I do a lot, right? So self-development, mentalism, hypnotism, entertainment, all that kind of stuff. I don't appreciate when people put themselves up on pedestals myself. So I'm always conscious of not doing that myself. And I think it's important to show and share vulnerability. Like in all of my years, last year was the most vulnerable I felt. Oh. Like I was just like, Jesus, I can't control my own mind. I'm still doing my ice baths. I'm still doing my breathing, but it's not helping. So that's when I ended up talking to my friend a lot. And that really helped me. And then I appreciate other people go down certain areas like ayahuasca and psilocybin and all that kind of stuff, and that under like proper guidance can be beneficial for a lot of people. I have heard some stories where the drugs don't work, as they say, so you have to be careful. Yeah, you go a little bit loopy, but you have to be careful, right? Of course. But I think probably 10 years time we'll be having a different conversation. Of course. I don't think people are going to be on the hard meds that they're on now. I think the science is pointing towards like what's now seen as alternative medicines. They were natural medicines for a long time. So we get proper protocol on those, I think they're going to be far more beneficial than what's already out there, which is, you know, everyone's popping pills left, right, center, and we can see it with the weight loss. We're all looking at people now that we know 20 years who are heavily overweight, and they've lost all the weight, and they're like, yeah, and I've just reversed my diabetes. I'm like, yeah. And then I would like, and if I'm friendly enough with them, I'll say, okay, I just have one question. You've lost all the weight. I think it's brilliant, and I know you're coming from a good place. And I know that you've reversed diabetes, but are you just weight training? I'm just going to ask 3-4 days a week. And they'd always say no to me, these people. I'm like, oh, have you looked into the fact that, you know, Ozempic and these drugs that they're creating osteoporosis now, because they're sucking the nutrients out of your bone density and your muscle mass, and you just might want to just please
do a bit of exercise,
just weight train 3 days a week. And that's the problem. Everybody's looking for the easy fix, right? There is no easy fix. There's always the yin, there's always a yang, right? The upside, there's always a downside. It's not to say people shouldn't take medication on the side. It's on pro meds, right? But we gotta just look elsewhere. And for me, yeah, it's self-hypnosis, visualization, breath work, all that kind of stuff, because it really works, you know.
You mentioned them parts, immutable. Oh no, again, the immovable. It's a funny word.
I remember my own content. I'm impressing myself here.
Immovable habits, in that you put cold water exposure.
Yeah.
You put weight training. How often a week do you keep them, and do you feel if you don't have them, then you will begin to slide? You will begin to not be as focused?
Yeah, so my movable habits change over time. They're movable for like a year, and then they kind of change. So I did a huge amount of weight training for a long time, and I've kind of, well, see, I'm injured at the moment, so this is a problem. I have a lot of injuries, and I mean a lot of injuries. I won't bore you with it, but I took up paddle.
So I'd hear everything you had to say if we had the time.
Well, I've got
you for hours.
Here we go, fat. I got impingements under both shoulders. I got tendonitis in both elbows. I got a tear and a cyst in my right wrist that can't be operated on. I've got a degenerative disc in my lower back. I now have a problem underneath my knee, which I'll tell you about in a minute. I've got a 7-inch plate there, 13 screws in my ankle, arthritis in that ankle, a 14 centimeter difference between the flexibility of my left leg versus my right leg because of the metal in my ankle. And then with all that being said, I wasn't supposed to be running because of the amount of metal in my ankle. And I thought, oh, what the hell? I'll say, yeah, fuck it. I'll take up paddle. Like, it's a real middle-aged man thing to do. Just, you know,
paddle's good, man. Paddle's
brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's absolutely brilliant. But like, there's like a paddle group where I am. Like, hey, I'll join this, because my daughter's always saying, Dad, you're so antisocial, which is a weird thing to say about me, right? You think I'm a very social creature. I am, but behind the scenes, when I'm done. I just lock the door. Yeah, but I kind of like I like trying to be social now, right? So I thought I'll take a paddle.
That is hilarious.
I'm not just down the boozer, right? So anyway, took a paddle, hadn't ran in years, and the next minute, the pain in my ankle shot up into my knee, and I went to a physio, and he's like, "Oh, you fucking idiot! Like, what are you doing running? There's a 14 centimeter difference in flexibility. You can't run because the ankle is so full of arthritis and stuff, and it's so full of metal. You're never going to get the flexibility back." So anyway, he said, "No more paddles." So I'm in physio now for my knee. The point of that is, I'm not weight training at the moment, which is driving me nuts. Like, it's actually a problem at the moment, because I'm back to doing 18 hours a day at the moment with work. I have so many projects on at the moment. So the important immovables for me at the moment are breath work and cold therapy. Contrast therapy when I can, but the immovables are cold therapy, breath work, and then the add-ons per week when I can are weight training and contrast therapy, because the cold therapy, you have no excuse. It takes 2 minutes, right? The optimal level is 2 minutes. You can do 2 minutes in a shower or 2 minutes in an ice bath.
I've been doing for the last year. I took that podcast you did.
So 2 minutes, right? Everybody can do 2 minutes. So time is not an issue there. Contrast therapy takes time, because you're going to be 15 minutes minimum in a sauna, if not a half an hour. And then weight training, you got to get down to the gym and whatnot. So again, they're not excuses. Just at this moment in time, well, at this moment in time, I've got big projects in the US, and they're screaming for PowerPoint decks, meetings, all this kind of stuff. And that has to be a priority, because I can't tell them, oh, sorry, he's gone down to the gym, he can't talk to you. Do you know what I mean? So it's just that juggle, that balance. But yeah, those are my immovables right now, which is the breath work and the cold therapy.
Incredible. Keith, do you know anything about WWE wrestling?
Well, do you know what? I used to follow it years ago. I know one thing about it. I I brought my son, my daughter, my wife to it in the 3 Arena not that long ago.
What'd you think?
I thought the production was shite.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Sorry, WW. Are you going to invite me there? If you were, oh, it was great. It was great. I was very disappointed.
Interesting.
At the
Well,
production.
it was like your injuries. The first thing I thought is like wrestlers. So they take, it's not intense trauma at first. So they'll hit the ground, but it's repeated trauma.
Yeah.
So by the time they get to 50, 60,
They're in bits.
yeah. And they're doing, at the height of it, it's like 200 shows a year. So like taking them.
Yeah.
But there's a wrestler called Triple H.
Yeah, I know.
I
know of him.
Follow it. And he had a Motorhead. I don't know if you're familiar with Motorhead. Time to play the game. I had to play that in my cold plunges.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I whack it on the seeker. The lads, as soon as they hear the wrestling song, they're like, here he goes.
Well, I'm AC/DC Thunderstruck.
Oh, you
know
that's
that?
a great, that's a good
Because
one.
Thunderstruck is 3 minutes long. Now, the optimal level in an ice bath, just so you know, is actually 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But because I've done it for so long, I can do it for 3.
I do.
And-
Mine's not as cold as yours now because I'm in a pool at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, I whack on because it's 3 minutes 20 seconds.
Okay.
So that's
Great.
yeah.
That's long enough.
I do the power pose too. In the one.
Here's a quick thing for you, right? Before I forget, look at me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want you to think of a word, a name, a place, a thing that if I was to guess it, you would know, like for real, you would know that was inside your head, psychic. And just for your listeners out there, your own followers, you haven't told me what this is off air. Nobody here knows. He doesn't know off air. Okay, look at me. Focus on whatever this is, right? Don't say it, just think it. And in your head, focus on whether it is a name, a place. It's a place. You're thinking of a place. Is that correct? Good. Okay, focus on. Now you went, and you're musical, which tends to tell me that it's not just one word. It's almost like 2 words. Does that make sense?
Bada boom, bada bing.
Okay, bada boom, bada bing. Bada boom, bada bing. Okay, so that means it's quite a long word, or well, 2 words.
I want to give you the right answer.
No. Don't like to make me look at it or anything. Okay, focus on just the first part of this. Okay, whatever the first part, and in your head. Okay, focus on that, and focus on the letter if you can around the middle of the word. Around the middle of the word, can you do that for me?
Okay.
Now you looked up to the top right, and then you shifted your eyes just a little bit.
I'm dyslexic, so I'm trying to give you the right one.
Okay, you went to one letter and you changed your mind to another letter. Then did you do that?
I just want to make sure it's the correct one for you. Yeah,
But did you flip between 2?
Yeah.
Did you go with a T, but then change to an S?
Yes, S.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Focus on it. Yeah, we're connected. And focus on how many letters are in that first word. Don't say it, just think it. Can you focus on how many
First
letters? Yeah, just
I
focus on
think
how many
there's 5.
No, you were supposed to tell me.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
but now I know there's 5. Well, but actually, there's no way we can know what it is. So in your head, focus on it. Don't say it. Focus on the second word. Focus on the second word. Okay, ZYXW. Focus on the first letter, the second word. ZYXWVUTSR. Was that an R? Okay, good. Focus on it. Don't say it. Just think it. This is a place. Yeah, okay. Say it in your head. Don't say it out loud. Say it in your head. Okay, I'm going to write something down. Okay, and I'll show the camera first. Okay, I'm going to go this here. That's what I'm going to go with. Where were you thinking of?
Castle Rock.
Not Castle Knock.
Yeah, it's Castle
I got
Rock.
Castle Rock.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. I was worried because I'm dyslexic, so I was like, geez, I hope I get the right spelling right to begin with.
Castle Rock.
Yeah,
There you go.
Castle Rock. Very good.
All right. What's next?
It was my national skill. It was my I am wary of time. We're about to go on the hour mark, so I just want to...
Quick fire round. Quick fire
Well,
round.
yeah, we could do that too. That was my first question. Favorite movie? Go.
Shawshank Redemption.
Apart from Judge Judy, favorite TV show?
MacGyver.
Do you remember?
You don't even know who MacGyver is.
I do know who MacGyver is.
Oh,
I do.
most people in their 20s know.
I know of it because my father, there's a local lad, right? And my father used to call him MacGyver.
Yeah.
I was like,
Fix
that's
anything.
a funny name. Why do you call him? And he's like, he just does bits and pieces. That's how I know MacGyver.
Or the A-Team, is it?
Yeah, I know A-Team, yeah. Barack, what's BA?
BA.
I used to, the A-Team, what else? The car, they used to, because the Comedy Central used to show all them Libby flicks and stuff, so I used to watch that. I love all that trivia.
I got all my kids watching.
How important, no, that's a big one. That's a big question though.
Joe, I don't mind.
Mairead, how important has Mairead been in the journey? Because...
But you can finish.
Just because I mentioned your teenage sweetheart, which is a beautiful thing, man. Especially like now, it's a beautiful thing. And she's been there when you didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And all the journey to now. So how pivotal has she been in the journey?
You know, it's interesting. I only realised today I'm with Mairead, I think 32 years. Mental. Makes me feel old, even though I don't feel old, you know. But look, I think anybody in my world, the best thing you can have is a really good partner who supports what you do. And from day one, she didn't whinge or moan when I'd go to the States for 3 months. I was on, like, I didn't have any work visa at that time, and I wasn't doing any paid work anyway, but I would come back and, like, literally just in time to renew my visa, my holiday visa, and then go back out. And I was hustling in the nightclubs and whatever. And she literally never moaned or whinged about that. And then, look, she's the most beautiful soul, and ultimately very strong business person though. So she runs the back end of my business. Like, you were dealing with her yourself, and you know, she's dealing with all the corporates out there from a contract perspective, all that kind of stuff. And then running a household, being a mother to 2 kids. But you know what? We still have great crack together. And that's the most important thing, is having fun. Because I think people lose sight of having the fun factor. So like, I'm such an idiot at home. Like, I'm just like jump scaring the whole family all day long. Like, I could be like, this is how sad I am, right? I could be standing behind the door for 10
But I
minutes,
love you.
just hoping Raid's going to walk in. I'm like, Jesus, I have to get shit done.
Yeah, nothing's worse.
I'm still standing behind the
come around
door. Yeah, hurry up, Raid. And then I just jump scare, and like, we just have the crack. But I think without her, I think it's very easy to lose yourself in this entertainment world and lose your soul to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, some of my friends, they're separated from their partners in the entertainment world, I'm talking about. And it's because I believe that they just started to believe their own bullshit, their own hype. And any time that I ever, in any way, you know, started to believe any of my own shit, especially in the earlier days, Maria just pulled me straight back down there. So look, she's been a pivotal part of it. I don't know that I would have gotten to the heights that I got to, meaning like all the different TV shows and stuff. Like, a lot of my TV shows that air here in Ireland, so people don't even know about them. Like, I had a full TV series on
Close Encounter.
Yeah, well, on Discovery Channel though, in the States. Deception with Keith Barry, that never aired in Ireland, for example.
Gotcha.
And then I had TV shows in Australia, in the UK, and so on. But the only reason I mention those is I don't know if any or all of it would or wouldn't have happened without Mairead. So look, yeah, she's the backbone of everything I do. And then, make sure that I'm dressed appropriately for the occasion. Said it's okay to wear a tracksuit to these lads. You're fine. But yesterday I was in a suit for the day. So there you go.
Got you. 2 quick questions in your time. Your teleology. Bro, I've been practicing. Look, dyslexia. We'll put a...
No.
1 year of spontaneity and adventure. What year is it this year in terms of your value system? What are you valuing this year?
I'm back to spontaneity and adventure again. And I'll tell you why. They do change over time. So like, another year, it was literally just trust, because I'd been burned a couple of times. So I was just looking for myself to be a trustworthy person, but also looking for trust in everybody else. Basically, teleology is the study of values, and I think everybody should nail in their core values. And because last year was a difficult year for a number of different reasons, I felt like I didn't have enough creativity. So creativity is one of my 4 core values right now. Adventure and spontaneity are 2. So like, I want to do like a parachute jump with my daughter, even though that's not spontaneous because I mentioned it now, but it's part of the adventure part of it all. And then the 4th one is just purpose. I want to sit down with myself and just create some stillness and map out. And when I say purpose, I have my SW, but I'm talking about a long-term kind of 5-year roadmap of a creative vision of purpose. Because I do that once every couple of years, but I haven't done it in a couple of years. So I'm looping back to that now. And I literally today, like later on today, I'm just going to go to the diary with Mairead and go, listen, I just need to block out a day where I'm just gone. Like, the phone's just going to be left at home. You won't know where I am. Well, she will, but nobody else will know where I am. No one can get at me. And I'll just sit with a notebook and I'll just get inside my mind. I'll self-hypnotize myself and figure out what's next. Because right now I don't know, except obviously the 3 Arena.
Oh, lovely segue. Hey, you're not doing it. The guy knows that
around the block. Yeah, so the biggest show I've ever done in the 3 Arena, which is Unhinged, and I know you're going to ask a little bit about it. So we'll finish on this.
Yeah, beautiful. That was genius. That was a master at work there.
So with the show, do you want to know about the show?
Yeah, do your thing.
So I'm the only person, I believe, in history to bring, in my genre, or probably anyway, to bring my own dead father on tour. So Dad's on tour because he asked me on his dying deathbed. He was like, Keith, bring me on tour. And I was like, Dad, we know where you're at. And he's real dark, sarcastic sense of humor, so I can talk about him like this. And he's like, no, you fucking idiot. Bring me on tour and contact me and mess with their minds. And I said, but we know it's all BS. And he said, yeah, but just do it anyway. So ultimately, Dad's on tour. We do a seance every night. So I bring his ashes on
Which is
tour.
nuts.
And I do a full-blown seance where people in the audience think of dead loved ones that they want to contact. I say it's an illusion, and then we do it anyway. And then Ken Barry, my dad, he comes through and he gives me messages for people in the audience. All kinds of mayhem happens in that moment. So it's like being at a horror movie where or a thriller where it's not real.
Still the
We're
way
there
it
for
makes
the
you feel,
scare.
though.
Right? So it's that. And then there's brain hacking. There's lie detection routines, but it's basically called Unhinged for a reason, because anything and everything can happen. And in the 3 Arena on February 7th, 2 people will dematerialize on stage with no cover and vanish from the audience. But it's not like a David Copperfield style illusion. It's going to look like CGI to people's eyes, but they'll know that it's not. And how do I know this? Because it's on tour right now every night. So last weekend people lost their minds when 2 people dematerialized on stage. So yes, Unhinged, biggest show ever, 3 Arena, February 7th. Get your tickets now on ticketmaster.ie.
Go get them. Get them.
Yeah, and then yeah, just get in touch on Instagram if you want any more information.
Keith, man, I'm going to tell you real quick. I've been a fan since I was like 5 or 6. And I specifically didn't say this till the end. I wanted to keep professional. But man, this has been very meaningful.
Well, thank you.
I wanted to have this conversation since like 2020, and I was thinking of how I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm a bit teary-eyed now, but it's very meaningful.
So I love it.
I remember you're the reason that I got into magic and elite. I remember watching the TV show on a Sunday evening. So thank you. It really means a lot to me.
No, I love it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Guys, this has been another episode of One Step at a Time. Your host, Ocean Flight 111, heading straight to full potential with 0 delays. Don't have a good day. Have a great day. God bless. Go on, get out of here, you silly rascals. Bada boom,
Love
bada
that.
bing.
Thank you so much. Thanks.